Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coach Craig Sports. And this is February 13th, Monday, and going to be doing the NBA DFS live stream for the core picks for today. Obviously, I haven't had a video since Friday, so there is no recap today since it is Monday as well. But going to be going through all the injuries in play for today's main slate. There's 11 games on the main slate tonight. I believe no back-to-back since there was only 2 games yesterday because of the Super Bowl. The NBA had their games earlier. Obviously, the Super Bowl was a little bit later in the day. But breaking down the injuries in play, kind of the impact that they may have, talking about some core picks for both DraftKings and FanDuel. But without further ado, we're going to get into those injuries for today's slate overall. So we do have a plethora of games starting right at 7 o'clock today. It looks like 4 right off the bat here. Just making sure we got 4 right off the bat, 7 o'clock Eastern time, then a couple at 7:30 as well. So we're going to start off with the San Antonio Spurs, who are without Devin Vassell, who's out till after the All-Star break, Romeo Langford, who's been out for quite some time, Trey Jones, who returned for one game after his foot injury and is now out once again, Kem Birch, who came over in a trade dealing with the knee injury, he's out as well. Doug McDermott listed as questionable. We'll see if he plays or not. Not anybody we're too focused on for DFS for today. Then we have Charles Bassey, kind of the young backup center. He's had some run in the past and done pretty well, but got rewarded with a standard contract after putting up some pretty good G League stats, but he's questionable with a foot injury. We'll see if he's good to go tonight or not. And then we have Jeremy Sohan and Keldon Johnson, both listed as probable to play tonight. So pretty simple in terms of the Spurs. We'll see what their starting lineup looks like. Devonta Graham has joined the team and actually played pretty well, so we'll see if he gets that starting nod tonight or not. But that's just kind of what we're looking at for the Spurs in general. On the Cleveland Cavaliers side, pretty much all the way healthy. They just did sign Danny Green. He's listed as out for tonight, so not too much to talk about from a Cavaliers perspective. And then for the Utah Jazz, Russell Westbrook's out. It's pretty much assumed that he's being bought out. I'm not sure what the final details are on that because I've kind of heard varying things. Let's just see. Taking time to decide future remains out for this. Jazz management met with him after being acquired. So that was a couple days ago. So we'll just see what happens with that altogether. But him and Micah Potter's out. Micah Potter's mainly been in the G League up to this point in time. So not really anything we need to talk about for Utah. Pretty much what we've seen out of them lately is what we got. Obviously, Jordan Clarkson did miss a game in there. So not too much craziness on tonight's slate overall from them. On the Pacers side, we got Miles Turner listed as questionable with a back injury. We'll see if he plays tonight or not. Obviously, if he doesn't, you can take some shots on Isaiah Jackson. You can take some shots on Jalen Smith tonight. Both are interesting GPP plays on both sites. Tyrese Halliburton listed as questionable tonight. We'll see if he plays or not. Obviously, if he does not, TJ McConnell is going to be a great play on both sites. For the Houston Rockets, Kevin Porter Jr. remains out once again. Not too much else to say on this team in terms of injury perspective, but Jayshawn Tate was in the starting lineup last time out, playing a couple more extra minutes now, so maybe he's a guy you can throw in as kind of a GPP pay down option as well. Then for the 76ers, we have Dwayne Dedmon listed out. He must have recently signed with the team over the weekend. Joel Embiid list is questionable, but he's been questionable for like 2 weeks straight now and been playing every game, so not really too concerned about that. And then Shake Milton listed as probable, so nothing really from an injury perspective for the 76ers as well. For the Hawks, this is a team that we can talk about. The young list probable. Do assume that he plays once again tonight. Bogdan Bogdanovic list is questionable. I think there's a decent chance he ends up missing tonight. Sounds like some general soreness, but we'll just have to see how that all shakes out. Maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. John Collins, on the other hand, dealing with like a hip flexor strain. I would not be surprised if he misses tonight. Obviously, whoever starts in his place is going to look pretty good, whether it's Bogdan Bogdanovic himself playing or whether it's like an AJ Griffin or a Jalen Johnson as a GPP paydown type of option today. Then on the Hornets, break, Cody Martin both listed out and Kai Jones listed as doubtful. So nothing too crazy out of the world for this Hornets team overall. Pretty much what we've seen in recent games. Obviously, 2 games ago, we saw Mark Milton get more center minutes. The last game was Nick Richards. Kind of can take some shots on both guys tonight overall. Although I do assume Mark Williams gets the start once again, and as long as he stays out of foul trouble, to probably get the majority of the minutes once again. For the Denver Nuggets, we got Zeke Nnaji out once again. Colin Gillespie listed as doubtful. Jamal Murray listed as questionable. He's missed the past 4 games with the knee injury. Kind of inflammation from his surgery that he did have. I do assume maybe they're just going to hold him out till after the All-Star break, kind of give him some extra rest, which is a guy they really need to be productive productive when it comes to playoff time. So there's not as much pressure on like a Nikola Jokic. And he was playing really well up until the point in time of that little knee inflammation that's kind of bothering him overall. Aaron Gordon's list is questionable. If he plays, he's a reasonable play. You can play him. If he doesn't, then obviously Cam Carr's been starting in his place and could be an interesting paydown option as well. For the Miami Heat, this is like the most extensive injury list you're probably going to see all day, just because we got Omar Yurtseven, Duncan Robinson, Victor Oladipo, Kyle Lowry, Nikola Jovic, all listed out. Udonis Haslam's listed as doubtful. Tyler Hero is questionable. We'll see if he plays tonight or not. Obviously, if he plays, you can throw him out there in some GPP lineups. If he doesn't play, should open up some value elsewhere. Then we got Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Haywood Highsmith, and Bam Adebayo. All listed as probable to play tonight. If anything does change throughout the day, especially with that Miami news, we'll be having it down in the comments as well. For the Brooklyn Nets, just Seth Curry out at this point in time. So pretty much seeing what we're seeing out of them for full strength. We'll see if that starting lineup remains the same as the last time out. We'll see if the rotations remain the same as last time out too as well, since this is a fairly new group of guys together. And then we have the New York Knicks just without Mitchell Robinson once again. So the Knicks, pretty much what we've seen in recent games as well. Obviously, they did add Josh Hart at the trade deadline, and he's going to play a little bit of a role for them as well, take away a couple of minutes from some other guys as well. For the Orlando Magic, RJ Hampton is listed out tonight. Don't really have too much else to say for them for perspective. Nothing crazy change there. They obviously did buy out Terrence Ross, so he's going to be going somewhere else. For the Chicago Bulls, we got Javonte Green, Lonzo Ball, both listed out. Alex Caruso is listed as questionable. Obviously, if he doesn't play, I would assume it looks a little bit better. Kobe White might get some extra minutes. Goran Dragic might get some extra minutes as well. For the Pelicans, we have Zion Williamson, EJ Liddell, and Dyson Daniels. All this is out. CJ McCollum is listed as questionable. Supposedly, he rolled his ankle on Friday, but we haven't heard too much about it. If he's good to go, he's a GPP play. If he doesn't end up playing tonight, or if we get news, especially early on, that he's not playing tonight, Jose Alvarado, really good paydown option on both sites. Then for the Oklahoma City Thunder, Povashevsky is out once again. They do get Jerome Robinson Earl back for tonight's game as well. Trey Mann is in the G League, so he won't be available for tonight's game as well. Just some other news there for Oklahoma City. Then for the Timberwolves, we have Karl-Anthony Towns listed as out, Rudy Gobert and Kyle Anderson both listed as questionable. Both did end up playing their most recent game, so we'll have to see if we get any other news that says otherwise today. For the Dallas Mavericks, Maxi Kleber, Davis Bertans both out once again. Tim Hardaway Jr. is listed as questionable. He pulled his hamstring or had some type of hamstring strain in their most recent game. If he doesn't end up playing, Josh Green would start in his place, be an interesting GPP option, but that's about it. If Hardaway plays, probably not anybody that we want to play regardless tonight, especially on an 11-game slate overall. For the Washington Wizards, Kyle Kuzma is listed as questionable. We'll see if he's back tonight or not. Obviously, has had that sprained ankle for a little while. Missed about 4 games with it. We'll see if he's good to go or not. Then for the Golden State Warriors, we have Steph Curry and Andre Iguodala. Both this is out. Gary Payton II is also out tonight. Apparently, he was dealing with some type of core injury and just kind of shooting up with Toradol before the games for the Blazers. And that was kind of what wasn't disclosed in the trade. So if you're familiar with the trade deadline and kind of the holdup at this point in time for that 4-team trade, Gary Payton was the thing there because he didn't pass his physical because he had that injury that apparently the Blazers did not disclose to the Warriors. So that's a whole nother interesting thing to talk about that we could talk about some other day as well. And then Andrew Wiggins' list is questionable. I believe he rolled his ankle as well in their most recent game. We'll see if he's good to go tonight or not. Otherwise, there could be some value options starting in his place, whether it's a Jonathan Kuminga, Dante DiVincenzo. Then for Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James listed as questionable. I believe he's missed the past 2 games now. Devon Reed and Anthony Davis, technically both listed as game time decisions, but a good chance that they are available to play tonight. Then for the Portland Trailblazers, Joseph Nurkic remains out. Justice Winslow, Matisse Thybulle, Kevin Knox, Jeremy Grant, Baji, Trendon, or just those 5 guys are all listed as questionable tonight. Keon Johnson technically as well, but he was available the last time, although he only played 2 minutes. Out of this group, out of that group, Jeremy Grant is going to be the biggest one there that we're looking at today overall. He supposedly is in the concussion protocol, but he was last week too, or listed with a concussion. And then he was able to play like the very next day or the next game, which was like 2 days later. Can't remember which off the top of my head. So that was a very interesting there, but apparently he hit his head again. And he's supposedly in that concussion protocol. I would not expect him to play tonight. Could open up some value. Whether it's a Nas Little starting, whether it's a Jabari Walker, or like a Trendon Waffer at that power forward spot tonight. Very interesting on that overall. Cam Reddish did get the start in his debut for them, so we'll see if that's something that continues going forward. Obviously, they acquired a few young assets that could make their rotations pretty interesting moving forward as well. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for tonight's slate. Obviously, 11 game main slate. So there's going to be a few that we're looking at. Obviously, Jeremy Grant's probably the biggest one for the Blazers. LeBron James, biggest one for Lakers. Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Kuzma. Um, Tim Hardaway Jr. News matters a little bit. CJ McCollum, Rudy Gobert, Kyle Anderson. And then we get back up to Tyler Hero, Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray. And then we have the Hawks news with Bogdan Bogdanovic and John Collins that could open up some value as well. And then Tyrese Halliburton and Joel Embiid would be the biggest ones at this point in time. Joel Embiid probably likely to play once again. But that's kind of a quick little overview on the injuries for tonight's slate. I'm going to get out of the screen, move over to DraftKings, and talk about my core picks over there. So on the DraftKings side, there is a lot of value tonight overall. Hopefully you guys can all see this pretty good. But at point guard, I have Devontae Graham for the San Antonio Spurs. He's $3,500. You're looking for 17, 18 points out. He's played pretty good in his Spurs debut. You know, obviously the first game went in overtime. He had pretty good showing in there. They were a little bit shorthanded as well, even though he was coming off the bench. Played a big role for that team. Coming off the bench last time, you know, he still played 22 minutes or so, played really well in those minutes. Now there's no Trey Jones tonight. We'll see if he's in that starting lineup as the starting point guard. And if he's not, could play a big role off the bench as well. But currently I'm projected for 21, 22 points tonight, which makes him a pretty solid pay down option overall tonight. And then at shooting guard, we're going with Jordan Poole for the Golden State Warriors. Should be a pretty decent pace matchup with them and the Washington Wizards tonight. $7,800. Looking for 39 points. I'm currently having projected for 41, 42 points tonight. Definitely has a little bit of upside for more, which we've seen in the last couple of games that he's played. At small forward, went with Nazir Little here at $3,300. I think there's a good chance that he could end up starting in place of Jeremy Grant tonight if Jeremy Grant's out. Or they might roll the dice and put him out there instead of Cam Reddish, who did start the last game and only played 17 minutes. But even off the bench, Nazir Little was a pretty decent play. $3,300. We're only looking for 16, 17 points down. Currently, I'm projected for 18, 19 tonight, but does have a little bit upside for more as well, especially if he's out there kind of playing that power forward, that 4 spot tonight overall. Might get a couple extra rebounds. Guy that can get you some steals as well. And then at power forward, we have Jabari Smith Jr. for the Houston Rockets, $5,000, looking for 25 points out of him. Currently have him projected for 27 points tonight. He does have some pretty good upside, especially since it's really just him and Jalen Green in terms of shots, or guys taking shots at this point in time. Sengun's kind of another piece on their offense, but not a guy that draws a lot of shots or anything else like that. Going against Philadelphia 76ers tonight might be a little bit tougher matchup overall, but do like him quite a bit at 27 points at $5,000 tonight. And then last but not least, going right back to Mark Williams today against the Atlanta Hawks, $4,000, looking for 20 points out of him. He's averaging 17.6 on the season. Currently, I'm projected for 26 tonight. Devils have some upside for more as well, as long as he stays out of foul trouble once again. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you have $26,400 remaining, $8,800 per player. So we're talking 11 game slate here. You can pretty much pay up for anybody that you want on this slate with the remaining dollar amount. Or if you want to kind of build a more balanced build, that's definitely fine on tonight's slate as well. But there should be some pretty good value options out there already today, and then as the day moves along as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel, talk about my core picks over there, and then talk about my core picks over there as well. So getting off of the DraftKings screen, we're going over to the FanDuel screen real quick. So I'm bringing that up now. And if you guys have any questions at all, whether it's related to DraftKings, FanDuel, anything else in general for tonight's NBA slate, feel free to leave them in the chat if you're listening live, or in the comments down below if you're watching on replay, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. But in terms of the core picks for FanDuel for today, at point guard, went with Jordan Poole at $7,800, looking for 39 points. Had him projected for 41, 42 on DraftKings, 40 to 41 on Washington tonight. 3-point bonus makes a little bit of difference there, but he's been playing really well in terms of the absence of Steph Curry, and he's had that high-end upside in his most recent games as well. At shooting guard, this is kind of a wild card here, one with Benedict Mathurin, but he's only $4,400. You're only looking for 22 points at him. Currently, I'm projected for 24, 25 tonight. Essentially, he's averaging so far in the season. Has a little bit upside for more if he gets the minutes, if his shots going down once again. Goes against Utah tonight. Should be a plus matchup for him overall. Good back and forth pace matchup between these two teams who are pretty high up there in pace and not too much in terms of defense on either teams. And although both teams do kind of have that shot blocker on the back end and Miles Turner and Walker Kessler overall. Then at small forward, went with Brandon Ingram here at $7,800, looking for 39 points out. Currently, I'm projected for 40, 41 tonight. Goes against Oklahoma City Thunder. Should be a pretty good matchup there as well. He's been really doing well since he's been back, since his minutes have increased once again. He's been up over 40 fantasy points pretty much the last 3 or 4 games. So would expect that trend to continue once again tonight, especially if CJ McCollum is out as well. Then at power forward, went with Laurie Markman at $7,600. Only looking for 38 fantasy points out. He's averaging about 40 on the season. Good pace up spot tonight against the Indiana Pacers. So do like him quite a bit. He's been over 40 the last 2 games as well. He's been over 40 a lot of times this season. So I do like paying down in this spot for him overall tonight. Then last but not least, at that center position, we got Mark Williams once again. FanDuel side, he's more expensive at $5,200. So we're looking for 26 points out. I'm currently projected for 26, 27 on the FanDuel side. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, his minutes are up there. He's going to look pretty good once again tonight. But with that being said, these are the 5 players that I do have on the FanDuel side tonight. If you go with these 5 players, $27,200 remaining, $6,800 per player. Doesn't sound like a lot, but there is a good amount of value plays on tonight's slate overall. So if you want to pay up for like one other higher price player, you can definitely do that and then kind of mix and match some value tonight overall. Probably going to have a lot of news changing throughout the day. As I mentioned already, all the injury news and updates will be listed down in the comments. I'll have as many starting lineups as I can get to tonight as well. And then about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock, I'll have my updated core. But kind of with that being said, these are the core picks that I do have for today. If anybody has any questions related to NBA DFS, before I get out of here, if you're watching live or if you're watching on replay, leave them down in the comments and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. But that's pretty much what I have for today's video. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed. As always, if you're watching and you're not already subscribed to my channel, would appreciate it if you took the minute just to subscribe if you enjoy the content that I am putting out on a regular basis. And then with that being said, really would like to have you as a part of the Coach Craig Sports community. Also check out the Patreon, patreon.com/CoachCraigSports, where I do put up my initial player pool for the day as well. Everybody that's projecting out for 5 times value or higher, or seems like a good GPP play that has some high end upside as well. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I have at this point in time. Also, be sure to check out the sports affiliate over on Twitter. We're doing some spaces over there. We got the chance to interview Will Wallace, tight end from Tulane last week. Did an NBA trade deadline space over there as well. So if you want to know my thoughts in general, as well as a couple other people from the trade deadline, be sure to check that out. And if there's any other questions that you do have, always feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport as well. Probably will have some NBA price picks going up there later on today as well. But with that being said, once again, that's all I have for today's video, for today's live stream. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed. And then with that being said, do appreciate everybody that tuned in, whether you're watching live or on replay. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely means a lot to me. And I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.